Good afternoon, everyone. We are live now with the very first edition of the innovation series by VISTAFOR Foundation. Foundation. So welcome all of you. I will, we have a showcase event planned for you. It's a unique, one of its kind, first of its kind event that we are coming live with today. Before I get on with the event, I'd like to, start with a small introduction of VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation, which is actually a very new entity, a new body that has just been constituted. And I'll give you a small introduction on VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation. And also, as I give you that introduction, I'll make it short and snappy, not very long. But as I give you that introduction, I would also like to, give you the context of today's event, which we're calling the Innovation Series. And today is the first edition of the Innovation Series, created and brought to you by the VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation. That is the logo up on your screen. This is the logo for the VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation. Vista is the voice of industry specialists from textile and apparel. And this body of people has come together to stand for change for the fashion business. So it's really, we describe ourselves as a think tank. And the idea is for all of us to come together and create thought leadership. But what's very important is that we don't want to be just a think tank, and our intent is not just to be our intent is not just creation of thought leadership, but we're also a task force. And therefore, I think that's an important defining aspect of our role, our mission. It's not just about thought leadership; it's also about taking action. It's, bringing implementation on the ground. The people who constitute or who've come together to found VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation. There's about 25 individuals from the fashion industry. Collectively, between us, we have 600 plus years of experience. We spread across all 5 continents, and we have worked across all parts of the fashion value chain. We've come together with the defining understanding that change is critical. We all believe very strongly in change, and we believe that change is critical. Of course, change is something that we are all in the middle of. Change of the magnitude that we have never seen before. Change of the kind that we had never imagined would ever happen. And there's a conversation about change, and we obviously believe that we will talk about change, and there is a lot of conversation about change. But I think what makes Vista different, and our intent in making Vista different, is that we want to make change happen. And I go back to the point of not just a think tank, but a task force, not just an agent of thought leadership, but also an agent of action. As we deliberated on change and as we look at change around us, and one of the important aspects of changing and making change happen is to change ourselves, we are quite fascinated and preoccupied with the idea of innovation as an agent of change. And making change happen, we believe, is something that can happen if we are able to make innovation happen. And making innovation happen, innovation is, as all of you know, a word that's used quite widely and often abused as well. But innovation, we believe, is a critical engine for making change happen. So we came up with this platform, as we call it. It's called the Innovation Series. It's essentially a showcase for innovation. And we believe that a showcase for innovation, a platform for innovation, which allows innovators to bring to larger audiences their ideas, their thoughts, and not just their ideas and thoughts, but also their journey in the process of innovation, is something that will help create a culture, create an ecosystem and an environment that propagates innovation. So our mission, as far as the innovation series is concerned, is to incubate, celebrate, and propagate innovation in the fashion business. Incubate, the Vista for Fashion Foundation is also going to take up the onus of helping innovators, providing them the resources, providing them the mentorship, providing them the guidance. But we also believe that it's extremely important to celebrate innovation. Innovators, as you would all know, are not just scientists, they're artists. There is an element of art in innovation, and art demands appreciation and acknowledgement. And the Innovation Series platform is going to seek for from around the country in the fashion business and look at bringing their innovations, their creations, and their journey of innovation to larger audiences, in the process celebrating innovation. And we believe that incubation and celebration is automatically going to propagate innovation, which is the critical need of the hour, innovation, which we believe is that secret sauce that is going to create a more positive, a more thriving fashion business in a post-COVID world. As we were deliberating on the innovation series, and we were putting together a framework for bringing innovators in a longer path that we could have taken, and that would have been about, setting out our mission, reaching out to innovators across the country and asking them to reach out to us. But we thought the faster way would be to bring to the table innovation from one of our own founding members. And with that, I would like to introduce Somesh Singh, who is, of course, one of the founding members of VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation. He's also a passionate innovator. Quick introduction: he is an alumnus of NIFT, and he's also the founder of Craft Village, apart from being the recent founder of Vista for Fashion Foundation. He used to also be at NID, and I will, as I talk to Somesh, go towards that aspect of his journey. He was at NID and he was the head of apparel at NID. And before we start talking to Somesh and we start looking at some of the innovations, I would like to firstly, welcome Somesh. Thank you. Especially thank you because Somesh is in the middle of some tremendous work, very innovative work. He wasn't entirely ready. It's a lot of it is work in progress. A lot of it is things that he's still working upon and finessing. But he was very forthcoming and very willing to start talking about what he was doing and sharing it with everybody else. In fact, I asked him a question. There were some things which he's going to share today which he's actually not fully completed. And one of the questions I had for him is, Ramesh, are you all right sharing with a national audience? And we know that audience in this forum is right now watching us from all across the globe. I asked Somesh, are you all right with sharing your innovations with people even while they're work in progress? And he said absolutely. And he says, I have no problem if people even want to copy it, as long as it encourages people and brings them to a level where they want to innovate. So Somesh, that is the spirit that really is at the core of the Vista for Fashion Foundation. So with that, let's start the conversation today. We are, as I told you, we're not just going to talk about innovation. We are also going to, and the work that Somesh has done, we're actually going to showcase and bring to you creations that Somesh has put together in the period of the last 3 months, right, Somesh?
Yeah, absolutely. During the lockdown, and when resources, I always remember Dr. Koshi's, one quote, which is when the resources is limited and the creativity is unlimited. So, it's very interesting. So I will be very happy to share, the entire journey. And thank you, Gaurav, for such a lovely introduction. And I just want to tell all our listeners that they have to be a little, bit more patient about the technology glitches. I mean, we always try our 100%, but this is one thing, which nobody has control on. But we'll
Right.
try and see that this entire session goes seamlessly, and there should not be
Excellent.
any problem.
Excellent. So, Somesh, we'll quickly go down to setting up a very quick context for your first innovation that you're going to bring to the table. Now, the interesting thing and the idea during this conversation is also to sort of dissect Somesh, and he's given me permission to do that. The idea being we not only look at innovations but get into the mind of the innovator, and hopefully by the end of it have takeaways, and I'm quite confident have inspiration for a lot of potential innovators out there. Somesh, you've obviously, like everybody else in this country and the world for that matter, been impacted and affected by the virus and the pandemic, this unprecedented event that we are still in the middle of. And I think that triggered a whole bunch of reactions. And I think that's one difference between innovators. They don't just think, but they act. So can you just talk about, and I specifically want to hear about one of the things that you created, which actually got my attention, which is when I got in touch with you, was this cement. You made a jacket which was out of a cement fabric of all the things. And I think that's somewhere where your journey of creating products to help fight the pandemic really started. So can you tell us a little more about that, and
Yeah,
and
sure.
and segue that into one of your first creation that you're going to showcase today?
Absolutely. Basically, we work with, Dalmia Cement on various innovative products. So interestingly, what happened is cement had always, some notions, right? One of the major notions was that ye jhadta hai. And it is, when, so when somebody looks at cement, they just try and touch it. Ki haath mein aaya ki nahi aaya. So interestingly, when we were working on this, we thought that the first thing, which one needs to really innovate is material. That is very important. And in the journey of last 4 years, working on this entire innovative projects, we could develop world's first cement fabric, which is just like any other fabric. And amazing part is that it could be 2D, just completely 2D, as well as it could be completely three-dimensional, and it is very very flexible. So it is very very flexible also in a manner that it just looks like leatherite, etc. So also the another issue is that I am a kind of animal activist, and we also believe in that if we could reduce the production of leather with alternate material, that will be nice. So we therefore created a fabric which is like completely cement and looks like leatherite.
Yeah, and I think there is people they will you can look Sumesh up, Google him, and you will get more information about this jacket. But Sumesh, what so interesting, that innovations actually they start in a certain area and they move from that to another area. So how did this you're talking to us about 5 different creations of yours. They're in various stages. Some are very mature and ready for market. Some are in process. Some are still on the drawing board stage. uh, how did this cement fabric and the work that you were doing with get you towards this journey of creating these products for helping fight the pandemic?
So basically, the interesting part is, it was lockdown. So, the only material which I had was cement. So, you can't go to market, you can't go anywhere, where I stay, my residence and studios are, just few meters away. So, what I could do is that, I have to really start working with what was available. And therefore, with the certain, we had this entire, process which we know, through which I created the cement fabric. I thought, that it's not possible to go to market and source even a fabric. So that was readily available. So I created the first cement fabric. And also another thought was that, a cleaning issue. So the cement fabric is waterproof and it's easily cleanable. So the first thought started is everybody's going to ask that on a woven fabric, the virus or that droplet is going to stay. So how do you clean it, right? So therefore we thought that it's a good idea that at least, on a swab, you take out the sanitizer and can clean up very easily. The way you sanitize your hand, then you can sanitize the cement fabric also. So
Right.
it is how it started, but then the a lot of challenge was to basically embed technology, which was there inside, and there were all the kind of thinking started happening. So then I started getting in touch with various people, requested that we know that your shops are not on, or it's all locked down, but is it possible that can we get some at least wire circuits and all those things? And therefore they were very kind enough that they were able to supply. That happened post 4th May, when the lockdown unlock one, or phase wise lockdown started getting over. So I got that, and then I could make this first cement jacket by 18th of May, right, as a trial. It was a total trial, Gaurav. I must be very honest with you. I never
Right.
intended to make it or go anything further, because I left garments with NID in 2009. Therefore of course I then was in Institute of Apparel Management, but it was more of management. I could not get down to doing things hands on.
Right.
So this was the
Right.
first how I started this endeavor.
So I'll come back to, there are two themes, and as I said, the intent is to also get into the mind of the innovator and have some takeaways. And I'm hearing here loud and clear constraint, and there is an interesting theory around how constraint actually fuels innovation, and I'll come back to that. So obviously you were working in a constrained environment, and there is an element of persistence that I hear. Ye nahi tha, wo nahi tha, but you find a way to go about doing what you need to do, and often those eureka moments where real innovation actually strikes. But we'll come back to that. I think we have a bunch of things to show our audience today. So why don't we launch into your very first creation, which you very interestingly call Co-West? And if you can,
Right.
talk to us about it and show us, whatever you have available. Everybody's, there've been some teasers that have been shared with us. been floating around, and I've been getting a large number of calls and messages. What the hell is it? We want to see it. So let's go ahead with it. Let's show them what the
So,
co-vest is.
so I'll show through the presentation, and maybe if people want to see actual product also, that also I've kept it. So my conversation is more
a
like
little bit
a
of the
studio.
real product. A little. We would like to see, of course, your presentation to understand the details. But if there's a product available with you right now, just pull it up on screen. Don't worry. This is a
Oh,
conversation.
sure, absolutely.
But maybe the presentation first, and you can show us the presentation, tell us about it, and then show us the real thing.
Surely. So I will just do that. Yeah, so we're good to go. So of course, we are talking about innovation series. So I mean, we welcome all the people who are watching Vistas for Vista for Fashion Foundation's innovation series, and we hope that it is going to help them. So the first product which I'm going to talk about is co-vest, all right? And co-vest, as we go further, I'll just share. So the idea started that it's very simple that it is like a chain. So one has to break the chain, and one of the major areas which I realized is social distancing. So refer to almost 99% of the researches, and then everything and everybody talked about that. Basically, if you want to become a real hero, then you have to make sure that you maintain social distancing and do not try and infect people. I mean, who could have the weaker immunity. So that is how the entire thought process started. So so I was thinking that what are the core things when the lockdown starts opening up, and what will be the concern people will have. I mean, how do they know what problems they're going to face. So first concern was that how do they maintain a social distancing. Now frankly, Gaurav, it is not people's fault. I mean, you are not trained visually to basically see social distancing. I mean, one cannot visually measure a distance of 2 meters, not at all. So therefore, we thought that it's a great idea that we should look at creating basically the sensors which are inbuilt into the garments, so that whenever somebody comes and inside that thing, that space, the point is it alerts you that please maintain that social distancing and be outside that Lakshman Rekha, what we call it. So therefore, that was the first thing. Second was that how do we basically know that the person who's basically is well or unwell, right? It's very important, because you see that there is a lot of infrared temperature measure, which is available or which is being installed everywhere. So how does one know that all the time that they are being keeping well? So that was the another thing which was there. Then the third point was they had a lot of belongings. They had, I mean, you have your keys, you have your mobile phone, you have your wallet. You are going to petrol pump. Suppose you're given your card to fill in gas, and then taking it back. So how do you ensure that all of these things are getting de-infected? So therefore, we created a it's a completely silver coated UV pocket which is inside the garment to ensure that there is no UV leakage that happens, because UV rays in any case is not good for skin and health. So this was another thing. And then also it's very important that everything has to be made in India, which means all the components, all the things that is being used are completely being assembled, made and fabricated in India. So that was another thing which I really took care of. And another very interesting part was mask. Now when a lot of people have a lot of problem in carrying mask, half a time you see that the mask is the new beard. And it's not their fault, because where will they keep the mask? Either they will keep in their trouser pocket, shirt pocket, and if the mask is infected, it is going to infect rest of the areas. So we thought that it's a great idea that we must inbuilt the mask into the garment itself, so that you don't have to worry and keep searching about the mask. And interesting part is also now it's there is a viral shield finish from from a company which is Resil Chemicals in Bangalore. And I know them for last 20 years because they work with a lot of projects, at NID also using a lot of their products. So what happens is this viral shield is just like viral off, the finish which is now being very, very famous. that if the droplets gets, dropped onto the fabric, it destroys it completely. So these are the kind of, features with which I started the entire journey. It began with cement fabric, but now, as you see, I'm just scrolling through, you see that, this garment. And, also one of the very important thing was that I wanted this garment to switch on, so switch on means when it is switch on, the protection is completely on, all your features and everything is, working. So that with that idea, this entire thing is started, and you can actually see the actual product. And good part is that, this is now completely, ready to go to the market. So this is where, this entire thing.
I'll interrupt you there. I'll come back to the commercialization market readiness. So fantastic. This is almost like, one of those James Bond kind of all-in-one suits that you wear, and you're fully equipped. So you seem to have thought of a lot of things. Some questions come to mind. So obviously you started with concrete fabric, cement fabric, and you've been able to take it to others. So it's possible to incorporate what you're doing, obviously, in all kinds of different shapes, and it's possible to customize this as well, right?
Absolutely.
So one could choose the fabric, you could modify the shape, and just like is happening with masks, probably you bring in an element of fashion, so you could customize the fashion element around your co-vest as well. So it's not just a piece of armor, it's a piece of fashionable armor potentially.
Yeah, one has to see, one of the things, Gaurav, I want to say, always, people de-link, fashion with function. They don't have to. I mean, your even functional fashion could be equally beautiful, and you look gorgeous. I mean, you should not look like you are wrapped into a piece of polythene, Why?
Absolutely.
Make it nice.
Absolutely.
So that, it gives you, because already you are into so much of stress, and you have to really feel good, look good, then everything changes.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, for fashion and function. And I think there has been this sort of, some people try to put a kosher divide, and I think it's self-defeating, because I think if they can be blended, the combined opportunity is actually exponential. That's interesting. Some more questions, and do excuse me if I come across as a skeptic. All innovators must be prepared to deal with skeptics, but the idea is to probe, ask more questions, and just to get to know your creation better. Smart wearables. So I see what you're doing, something called smart wearables. A trend has been on the horizon for quite some time. You read up on the next phase in fashion, and smart wearables is something. And, we've all seen Star Trek and, all the other offshoots of that nature. And we all know that at some point, smart wearables are coming. So this is actually in the smart wearables category. My skeptical question is, when you blend all these components, and I have two questions there. One is, when you blend so many of these gadgets into your clothing, up till now there hasn't really been a successful use case at a mass level, at an institutional level, in a hazardous occupation, etc. probably, but up till now. So have you, as an innovator and somebody who's pushing in that direction, have you done your diligence? Have you done your homework? Will this all come together, or suddenly one piece just goes out of form, function? Second question I have is, at the end, can I throw this in the washing machine? Third question I have is, and I'm throwing all of them at you. I have many, but I'll throw only a few because we have limited time. And I'm sure the audiences are welcome to reach out to Somesh. We'll give you our email ID where you can reach him, VISTAFOR Fashion Foundation. If you are an innovator, if you have questions on this innovation, if you want to collaborate, you're all welcome to reach out. But the question is, UV is the other thing that, and it's in the pocket. Safety. Isn't UV something that's dangerous? So, I've thrown my questions at you. Please feel free to respond in whichever order you consider appropriate.
One by one, I will answer, questions, right? So that also, the people who are hearing us have a lot of clarity. Yeah. The first thing is, I was thinking that, battery operated garment. Then I realized that, we are now already being with battery all along, for so many decades now. Your mobile phone is the biggest example. So all the time in your pocket, you are carrying a battery, so there is no harm. I mean, if there is a battery, thank God, at least this jacket doesn't have any communication device inbuilt, which has radiations and all kind of, wireless connection. That is more harmful. Still, there are not so many studies, which prove that it is harmful. So battery was not an issue. So therefore, my hesitation for using battery went off completely, and I was very happy. Okay, so that is sorted. The second issue was basically a small study in UV. So UV basically is used for sterilization. I must, differentiate. We are not talking about sanitization. I'm saying sterilization. So when we talk about sterilization, there is a range basically, which begins from 120 nm and UVC. It is UVC 120 nm to 400 nm. So
Right.
basically, you must have seen that all people like cashiers, they keep on using the UV torch, right, for checking the counterfeit notes. Now that range
Right.
is from 360 nm to 400 nm, right? So it's
Okay.
completely not harmful. Then a little harmful, which is also not very harmful, but a little harmful one is what we are using for the sterilization process. That begins from 260 nm to 280 nm. Now
Right.
that is of course, so it has a proven track record that I mean the earlier viruses like SARS
Right.
and others, it has been able to kill. So
Okay.
therefore, so that is the range, and of course, it comes from the authentic suppliers who have
Mhm.
tested, who have got
Mhm.
certification, everything they have done. My only issue here was to contain this entire thing into the pocket. One,
Mhm.
right? So what kind of layering shall I use? So therefore,
Mhm.
we developed a special fabric, which
Mhm.
is a combination of blackout and reflection.
Okay.
So there are, as you saw into the images, there were so many small chips which you could see.
Mhm.
Those are our reflectors. So what happens is when reflector reflects, the area increases of UV light, and you
Mhm.
got to use it for the less time. Second is there is a
Fair enough.
complete blackout, 2 layers of blackout fabric, which does not
Mhm.
let any iota of light passes through the entire process. This thing
Right.
garment, to the
No,
skin.
so I get that. I get that. I'll stop you there. I know, if we get into the details of the co-vest, we probably need 2 hours, just for that. So the idea is not to those who are interested, we just, you're welcome to offline get in touch. But the point that I'm taking away, and what I'm liking the sound of is that you've thought through everything. You've thought of all aspects. You've done your research, and that's great. I believe you have a jacket with you. In all
Yes,
these
of course.
difficult times. So can you, if you don't mind, just bring it up on screen in some way. We don't mind having a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see that this is the co-vest, and this is basically made in Ajrak.
Ajrak. Oh
Yes.
wow.
So
Okay.
as I was
Wow.
telling
Okay.
that
Excellent.
you have to basically switch on your protection, right?
Yeah.
So your switch protection is switched on now.
Hmm. Yeah. It's feeling like feeling a bit Star Trekish, but what's interesting is by doing it in Ajrak, it's feeling like Indian craft based Star Trek. So excellent. It's
No,
nice. So
Gaurav,
this is
I
this is very nice.
intentionally did this because craft and
Hmm.
technology is the last thing which people will ever try and think about. So
Hmm.
this is there, so you can see that you are switching on the protection. Then you have
Hmm.
the body temperature measurement.
Hmm.
Then you
Hmm.
have I mean on the sides, as you see, these are all sensors which are inbuilt,
Right.
and even
Right.
at the back, right?
Okay.
And then
Interesting. Interesting.
you have pockets. So this is the pocket, this is the pocket which is UV pocket. Interesting thing
Interesting.
is if you close this pocket, then only UV
Yeah.
light will switch on, otherwise not.
Okay.
You cannot
And
put your hands into your pocket ever.
yeah, and I heard you mention that there is a sort of customization possible. So, for example, if I'm not, but if I was the kind of person who wants to sneak around in the dark without anybody seeing me, I could have an option where the light doesn't come on. Just as
Absolutely,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, no,
Okay.
you,
Great.
yeah.
Oh,
So
I
I
can I
mean,
can switch it off. Yeah, okay. In a stealth mode, I can move around in stealth mode, or I can just let people come in. Excellent. This
yeah,
is
yeah,
this is
yeah.
amazing, Somesh. Very interesting. Of course, I mean, you in our conversation promised me that you're giving me one jacket as my
Your jacket
as
is ready. Only
my
thing
jacket is
is
ready.
that
Excellent.
courier guys were telling that they will take 7 days. I said, okay, next week then.
No, I am going to, if required, brave the pandemic and drive down and grab it. I'm very excited about this concept.
Thank
Congratulations,
you so much.
congratulations. I'll come quickly to market readiness, but I'll park market readiness and commercialization. I know you're ready to go to market and you've already explored that concept, and we'll talk about that in the end. I want to, as a theme, for innovation and innovators, I think thinking through all aspects of the innovation rather than just being, a fanciful expression of creative energy is very important. And you've done some good work there, and I'll come back to that to wrap up our conversation on co-vest. I want to quickly ask you some questions. You were at NID, and I think you were one of the first people. I think you were handpicked by Dr. Dali Koshi, to work on the apparel department at NID, and it was at that point in time, an idea which was a bit of a conflicting idea. NIT is a little kosher in their thought process. I love NIT, by the way, so I'm not, taking shot at anyone. But how was that journey? How was that journey trying to? My sense is that in the early years, it would have felt like an outsider.
It's very interesting because NID is always considered as Mecca of design. And when I joined there as a faculty trainee, a faculty development program in 1999, it was very interesting because they had a program called NID had a program called Apparel Design. And I think 1 year later, Dr. Koshi joined as the director of NID. And Dr. Koshi's point was that, see, design is a great idea, but design also need to connect with market. So therefore, if we can, basically, it was more like a hybrid program. So from a pure design program, can we make it little hybrid program like apparel design and merchandising? So that was very exciting. And also, when we talked to industry people, they were very happy. They said, yeah, that's a great idea, because if a designer can also understand, things into little larger perspective from management, merchandising and other things, that is an additional advantage. That was the whole idea. So therefore, we started this program in 2003, and, we had a batch of 15 people joining it. And one of the guys who everybody knows today is Rahul Mishra, passing out from that batch. First batch of, apparel design and merchandising. So the program.
I've had the opportunity, sorry to interrupt you, to interact with a lot of designers or textile designers and apparel designers. They're very high quality professionals.
Surely, because the advantage always NID had is it is multidisciplinary. So you are also seeing graphic designing happening next to you, product designing, animation. So lot more you are able to absorb. And I think also what I have shown today, a lot of credit goes to NID, because there I learned so many little things as a part of learning. So we started apparel design and merchandising program. It became very, very successful. And it created also a very interesting line of people which industries seeing today. I mean, Gen X designers especially, a lot of Gen X designer are from NID, and during that period. So 2003 to 2000, 7, 8, 9, and now that number is growing. So I'm very happy that we could really bring in an interesting program there.
And I just, because I was on the advisory board of the Lakme Fashion Week for many years, along with Dr. Koshi, and I was at the receiving end of the Gen Next program. I think it's a fantastic program. I think the Lakme Fashion Week, especially, has done tremendous service. And it was interesting for me in conversation with you to realize that, the origin of that, it originated, the idea came from NID, and it was supported and fed by NID, and some tremendous work on promoting young talent in the fashion business, and some of them are really doing extremely well right now. There's one story that I want to go back to, and I would love for you to share with the audiences. I kept thinking about it after you mentioned it in our earlier chat. Is the work that you did for the soldiers in Siachen?
Yeah. So
can you tell us? Can you share that with the audiences?
Yeah, sure. I'll basically not take much time, but quickly share 3 interesting things which happened in 2005. So it's very iconic. Certain years become very iconic. One was that, there was Angora farming that was happening at Kullu. So major problem with the wool was that though it is 8 times warmer than merino wool, it had a lot of shedding. So I had a colleague at NID called Dr. P.B. Jhala, who was working on nano and plasma technology. So the problem with the technology was that it used to use helium gas, which is very expensive. So unfortunately, if he could have created a machinery out of it, very expensive, and even gas is very expensive. So therefore, the purpose would have been defeated. But what instead he did is he used atmospheric air. So with that, basically, we started with this entire, journey, and this machine was basically launched by Professor P.B. Jhala. And therefore, we could really, create this particular, this particular piece of fabric, which was then nano processed, and it was very successful. So, the idea was now what to do with that fabric. It has been done, and the people who are farming, doing Angora farming, has also not got a potential employment. So we thought that let's use that as an interlining. And especially interlining for military, because they are into very harsh condition. and they need, a lot of protection. So we use that into military jacket. Our team of apparel design and merchandising students made that jacket, and 7 of them were so lucky that they went to Siachen to
Amazing.
study the entire thing, the entire, context, which is,
Amazing.
which is, I think, once in a lifetime experience
Life
for all
changing.
of them.
Life changing. Yeah. Life changing. And
So,
also the sense of fulfillment for at having been able to create something for, soldiers right at the forefront of the most difficult battle. And it's a battle. Even when there's nothing happening, it's a battle. Just fighting the forces of nature in Siachen is a battle. It's a daily battle. Yeah.
absolutely. And interesting thing was, then, I came to know and learn so many terms like snow bite, for example, I've never heard of a term like that. And then, high exposure of UV rays, I mean, on such, massive heights. And then also, air pressure will be very high. Then there will be, lack of oxygen. There were so many components. They stayed with soldiers in their, in their tents. They spent time with them, understanding each and every detail, what they were basically facing. Recorded, documented that, made a film, and then they came back. So it was a fascinating experience. So that was one. Second
I think
was,
this is what is widely acknowledged as the way of the future. It's called design thinking, where you actually, live with your, potential possibilities. You prototype, iterate. Fantastic. I mean, delightful to hear that something of this nature was done in 2005. Sorry, your next.
yeah. So interestingly, I mean, this was one, dimension or direction where we were going. Interestingly, on the other side, there was basically, so Rahul Mishra was sent to Kerala, for his craft documentation or for a research project, So, I mean, so he came back and he said, I'm very depressed. So I asked him that, why are you depressed? He said, their sarees are piling up. They make, typical sarees, which has gold and silver border. So, I'm very, very depressed, because the moment I went there, they were asking for money. They said, look, so much of stock is piling up. Nobody's buying. So I said, okay, that's a problem. Find a solution, because the problem is, the point is there is a problem. We all know. Now, as a designer, it is your role to find a solution. So please find a solution. And therefore, he came up with a collection, which is again, reversible garment.
Yeah.
But first time in the world, anybody could have seen that the reversible garments is when worn, on the reverse side, it changes its form, it changes its silhouette, it changes its entire look and feel. And I think that was the brilliance of Rahul Mishra, which then, he went on winning all the awards of 2005 all over the world. And then, that's how he went to Italy, worked there. And everybody know that he's become a name now. So that is another and last interesting. Yeah.
No, he's an amazing professional, and actually, it's interesting again. How your early experiences. Kerala and the work in Kerala is very prominent even today in his. The influence is still very prominent in his work. But also, I think you realize that kind of exposure shapes individuals, and he's of course an extremely authentic and extremely talented designer. One of the
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, he was telling, recently I met him. He said, still I sell those garments, they're so hot seller. Yeah. And he said, those guys have now bought cars. They have built their houses, So look at, how one specific innovation changes the entire social fabric. And that is very, very important, when we talk about innovation. It is not for personal satisfaction. It is for societal good. And that is where, as an innovator, we have to play the role. Third interesting point is about a guy called Kranti Kiran. So interestingly, he went to IIT Delhi. IIT Delhi refused him. They said, we cannot work on a garment like this. And he came from MIT US. So finally, he, entered my office and he said, you are the last person, I have some hope with, because everybody is rejected, refused. I said, what is it, which you are looking at? So he showed me a jacket fully wired. And my first point was, did you come through airport? He said, yes. I said, didn't security guards or everybody, pointed gun on you, thinking you're just like a human bomb? And look at the wires, it's crazy. He said, no, I'm working on, reducing this. And, he created a jacket, Gaurav, which basically, again, it was battery operated smart garment. And he then got support from Department of Science and Technology, from Tata Foundation, and all these places. And he created the first jacket in the world which is able to maintain temperature. So suppose it's 42 degrees Celsius outside, you could maintain a temperature of 22 degrees in your jacket and being very comfortable. So look at the large number of application. I mean, of course, he was, targeting at army, but at the same time, imagine bikers. I mean, the whole two-wheeler, community which moves in India, how much of heat they face. Imagine if the jacket is being, given to them. And then he ended up making, hundreds of crores of organization, which is called Glamour Gear, based out of Hyderabad, and extremely successful. So when I showed it to our central minister Giriraj Singh, what was the first? Very nice. Sometimes people give you a very simple definition. He said, "Acha, to ye AC jacket hai." He said, "Oh, fantastic! What a nice nomenclature to an ordinary man, which has come to." So it's a AC jacket. So these are three very interesting, thing which happened in 2005. And I was the mentor and I was the guy.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think stories, one can hear presentations and go through concepts and theories on innovation, but nothing is as powerful as human stories. And this is, I mean, I'm myself, I'm inspired listening to these incidents, and some of these people, these brands, etc. I don't, but the story behind it is amazing, and great to hear that you've been a part of that. And it must give you a tremendous sense of fulfillment. I think we should quickly, we've got 4 more products to showcase. We'll have to, time ourselves and pace ourselves. I would request that the next 3, you show us the next 3 in one go, and then we will resume our conversation.
Absolutely,
I'll keep interjecting if I have a quick query. Yeah, please.
Perfect. So I'm just. Yeah, so the next one is, what I've termed as cover. And basically, the one of the problems which I realized is that every time you're coming from outside, you are, cleaning, washing your clothes. So, which means, there is no problem. But imagine, sustainability also you're talking on the other hand. Now, keep on washing clothes, how much of water and detergent you're filling into the earth, and also using so much of water. And also, it's not possible to take a bath everywhere, so you have got to have something which takes care of whatever infections on your clothing. So this was the idea. So I mean, if you look at this is cover, so I mean, it basically has a timer. So timer beginning from 30 seconds to 180 seconds, and it sanitizes most of your clothes, which is jacket, sari, trousers, shirt, anything which you want to use.
So again, you can you just have to hang it. You just have to hang it on the hanger, zip up the suit cover, and voila. Right?
Absolutely. So until unless your zip is not completely closed, Gaurav, the hanger is not going to switch on. Because UV light
that's an inbuilt safety mechanism.
That's an inbuilt safety, one has to do, because otherwise, people are also very adventurous, they will start putting hand and they get excited to see, So you're not supposed to see and put your hands, etc. So this was another product which I thought, again, this is ready to move the market, so there is no problem. So now we move to the third interesting part is, so, this thought came when I went to Chroma recently, so when I was touching anything, I was sitting anywhere, I was really getting worried. So I thought, let's try to get rid of worry and try and think of a object, which can help at least, to sterilize again, external condition. So then, we thought of a pen, which is again a UV pen. And, you can see that, there are some snapshots that you can really, and it also does deep cleaning. So deep cleaning basically means, things which cannot go, you have a lot of grooves all over. So if some droplets have gone inside, etc., one is able to really kill the bacteria, etc., virus, whatever it is there. So this is another product. Then, this is very interesting. So it is like, going back to your own classroom, frankly. And you start plug and play with, basic ideas. So collar, again, I saw a lot of problem.
That's not a collar. That's a spectacle case.
I know. Let me proceed further, and then you will say that it is not spectacle case.
I'm by design a skeptic.
Yeah. So I mean, this is what is inside this, and this entire thing. When you look at this, so this contains a garment and a completely convertible mask. So this entire thing is actually, was inside.
So it's like a protective layer. It's like, it's a raincoat kind of a thing,
It's basically, yes, a protective garment, or a garment which you can carry, easily and wear it, keep it. You don't have to worry about its transportation, So the idea is basically to intrigue people and, make them think that, look, if you're making mask also, no problem. Keep on making masks. But start also think of, how you're going to integrate that it as a part of garment. And bottom, you can see a bow, right? You see a bow tie, correct?
Yeah. Now, first I saw a spectacle case. Now I see a bow tie. So you tell me what it really is.
Yeah. So now I'm going to show the images, how it looks like when it is opened completely. So, you can see, how it basically builds
Very
as a
nice.
mask, and it is very easy to carry, and it also, has some other
The
application.
one that this the one that the person wearing the co-vest is using. It's that bow tie. That bow tie has become the.
Absolutely, yeah. Co-vest has a bow tie, that is the additional thing which I thought, let people also become formal, go to the parties, maybe a Zoom party itself, but they're nicely dressed up, Why they have
And
to?
I see influences, Somesh, of origami here.
Absolutely, Gaurav. Origami, folding techniques. There are so many things. Frankly, I mean, at NIFT or at NID, a lot of students used to do this. But why are they not doing it? This is not rocket science which I've discovered or I've shown. These are things they can still do. I mean, so point is, please, don't make a typical mask. Think out of box. Do something very, very interesting. And also, it brings a lot of functional change, functional support to the entire people community who's using it.
Excellent. So that's excellent. So you have one more product, and we'll come to that, which is still in the on the drawing board stage. And
Right.
once again, thank you for for your. I mean, I was quite bowled over when you said that you were willing to share it even at the drawing board stage, and you didn't mind if somebody picked it up and ran away with it and did something
I will be very happy
incredible.
if
So
somebody is able to pick it up
I
and make it.
I salute that spirit, Somesh. Excellent. But just a little bit, as I said, the idea is also to talk about innovation and the process of innovation. So I pick up themes here. I pick up, I hear constraint. I hear, a lot of customer orientation and trying to figure out. There's an element of problem solving, and there is a. I think innovators must have empathy for problems of the world, and that seems to be the seed that gives rise to the energy that can eventually innovate. So there is a certain emotional side to an innovator. Would it be anything in your journey as an innovator, that's been very frustrating, where you've been pushed to a level of where you said, hey, have you ever felt like giving up?
A lot of times. I should be very honest, and the interesting part is, I'll tell you, there is a personality trait, which is to it. One is that, I mean, of course, you are a little bit aloof, and you are more loner, because then only you are thinking, internalizing your thinking, and you're trying to do things. So therefore, the social connect you miss. So as an innovator, even though I am doing things, you will find that I have also very limited, social circle or people to, go with. That is one. Second is, no, people don't believe in your ideas. I must be very upfront and honest. Very, very rarely I found our group, at least, I mean, I don't want to boast it, but I'm being very genuine. Vista is one group which I find that, they really believe in you. Otherwise, frankly, starting from Craft Village to all what I've been doing, I have seen that at first people reject your ideas. They have a tendency, I don't know what is the problem, whether there's a lack of culture of appreciation or there's a lack of vision. I don't know what is the issue, but you face that for sure. Third is, you also, India as a country which is very diverse, but also, our country has a huge limitation, because, I mean, I'm sorry again if I'm a little over the board, but people believe in copying, they don't believe in original ideas. I mean, I frankly feel that we must also, look at original ideas being incubated. Why we have to copy things, which is evolved from West or from China or from elsewhere. We have the potential, we have the capacity to do those things ourselves. And all of us were so creative when we were into college. What happened to that, when we went into corporate jobs? So this is, this is another thing which is I felt. And, of course, as you asked, I felt like giving up many ideas, because the problem is, you have to struggle for funds, you have to struggle to build network, you have to struggle with, all sort of things. For example, even look at, co-vest when I'm making, I have to think logo, to, think of manufacturing, to everything, my own self. Thankfully, I got few people in our Vista group, who were so proactive. But all this is a huge challenge. I mean, thinking whether I should work on products or shall I get into the commercialization mode? What should I do? What should be my role?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that, segues very smoothly into the role and the mission that the Vista for Fashion Foundation has, amongst other things, that we want to impact in the industry. I think innovation is something that we want to, as I said, incubate, celebrate, and propagate. So that's excellent, and we're delighted to have among in the founding member body somebody like yourself who's been living it. And I think those frustrations also, I think, in many ways shape an innovator, and therefore I personally think the pain in any kind of creative expression or breakthrough innovation is almost an essential ingredient. Let's go to the last showcase that you have, and let's put that up on the screen. I'm keeping an eye on the time. Would love to see the last one, which you call the cocoon.
Yeah.
I find that the most fascinating, whatever little I got to see.
Okay, so I'll first share the context, that, there were two issues which I thought, we could not solve. One was, doctors who were basically, wearing PP kits. So a lot of, people, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are doctors. They were telling, the most difficult part is how do we drink water, how do we really, take a break, basically, from such an exhaustive job, so if there's some something within the government that can really help. So that was a trigger point. So I thought maybe we can think of some idea which can solve, maybe not fully. I'm sure that there are so many people hearing us may able to add so much of value and able to build that further. And another worry was when the travel will start opening up. So your metro, your buses already have started in some capacity, you have airplanes happening. And also another thinking was that now school has a same classroom, how do you maintain a social distancing? I mean, in a class of 40-50 kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how to really create a cover, which can help them. So, I will just take quick 2 minutes. Once the first one, I will show about the travel, and then about the doctor, which I spoke about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the one which you can see, into the basic, I mean, ideation process. So this is how this entire travel pack is going to work like. So it creates a complete shell around you, and then so it opens up. It's like a backpack. So it opens up from the back, and then covers you up. And then also, for example, I mean, where the cursor is, you can see that it also creates a small stand, so you can read books. There's a light in this. There is a for air circulation, there are small fans which is there. Again, it's a smart product. So, I mean, you can drink water, you can take a break. There's a little light inside, LED light inside, which helps you to see through your books, etc. So even though you are sitting in a metro, you will see that, you are not getting, the infections from anywhere. I mean, even though there is no place for social distancing, yet you can put all your hands and your top area inside and completely be comfortable, So this was one idea, right? So these are some of the ideation sketches which is there.
What are those contraptions below the waist? You're on the legs?
Yeah, so that I will come to. I'll come to the next one design. It is common in both the designs, which we thought.
Okay. Okay. Fair
So
enough.
I mean, this is like a cape, right? So this was I was thinking for the doctors that if we are able to create umbrella capes, right? This is like an umbrella, which basically closes and opens up. And these are what you see as a closet is basically your something which is integrated with your trousers. So if you want to sit somewhere, you can take so all the details you can see here, and then basically how it operates. And I'll just so you can see that how it opens up and you are able to sit very comfortably.
Yeah.
And the top umbrella, then you can really take a break. So I'll show you how also that happens. So it happens like this. So it goes into that phase. Yeah, this one. So I mean, you can completely go inside, and then completely going inside, and then just
So
a minute. I think
you're working on this. This is something that you're building as we speak, prototyping.
Yes, of course, because the reason is, some ideas needs to be also built in. I mean, it may never see, the light of the market is okay. But my point is, if there are problems, if we start thinking about a problem, then only we can solve it, Otherwise, everything remains, just as a theory.
Excellent. Which excellent. This is fascinating. Again takes, and these images 6 months back would strike one as slightly outlandish, Hollywoodish, from one of the sci-fi movies. But all that we have gone through in the last 3 to 4 months, humanity has faced an unimaginable, unprecedented situation. And I think, apart from many other things, it's conditioned us to believe that technology, smart wearables, these are not flightful. These are not flights of fancy. A lot of this is actually the need of the hour, and I think that's where the role for innovators. I think the environment is fertile for innovators to thrive, and I think once again, that is the reason we want to propagate this entire uh, concept of innovation and the culture of innovation through Vista for Fashion Foundation. That's excellent. Last point that I'll touch on, and then we'll do a quick wrap up so that we are on time. Somesh, the co-vest is what you started on the earliest, and you already sort of ready for market.
Right.
Just some insight on where you are. Just tell us a little more about, and I'm sure the other products will follow. I particularly love that pen. As soon as you're ready for the market, I want it, because I walk around and there's everything that I want to zap with some UV before anything, before I touch it. But the co-vest, I believe, is ready for market. So what's happening with it? What have you done with it? Tell us a little more.
So basically, Covest is ready for the market. So,
Hmm.
we did a small trial. We basically floated the, small, brochure and video and images to a lot of people, we just
Hmm.
floated because we wanted to first, sense market whether, we are thinking something very, very good. We are very
Wow.
excited, but whether it's really solving a problem. And we have got amazing response. I think every day I'm getting almost 100 response, for the product.
Excellent.
So it
Excellent.
looks like it is building up, and I'm sure that people are going to also buy that. And second is,
Hmm.
from our Vista members only, I've taken help of few members for manufacturing the entire production, which I'm going to do from next
Excellent.
week. And they
Hmm.
have come forward, and I'm very thankful to them. So therefore, this product is market ready. We'll manufacture it, and it is going to be then supplied for people to wear, and then a lot of feedback will come from there. At
What
the
about
moment, it is just with me. Once users start using it, then we will get a lot of feedback and refinement, and
I know.
everything is going to happen.
And what about pricing?
What about pricing?
Hmm.
See, the pricing basically is, it starts from, frankly, it's expensive product, because making, I mean, it has a hardware and software. So
Hmm.
it starts from, say, around, 5,000 rupees and go up to 10,000 rupees.
I don't think that's expensive. I don't think that's expensive for the kind of function that it is capable of performing. And I'm sure, of course, the market is king. The customer will eventually give you the right price, and there is a journey in improvisation. But delighted to see that you've also managed to reach out and collaborate, and complete the circle and take it to market and prepare it in. And I wish you all the best. I'm sure our audiences also are absolutely delighted. I hope, and I'm quite sure actually, that there are a large number of people out there who are inspired and energized. I'll just let's spend 5 to 5 minutes perhaps max, just to wrap up. Firstly, of course, and this is about innovators. I think what I picked up, feel free to add. uh, I think passion is a very critical ingredient, and I found a bunch of peas, nothing to do with Mr. Kotler. But I have a whole lot of peas that come to mind. First is passion, and I think there is a level of evangelism that innovators must possess, that and I said that there is empathy, there has to be an empathy for problems of the world and a desire to solve them. But the ingredient that must pervade, critical ingredient in innovation is passion, and passion comes through in your work, in the way you talk, in the way you go about things. And I think it's critical. I think also the second is persistence. The second P is persistence. That comes to mind, that any innovator, anybody trying to solve a problem that has not been solved, or trying to do something different, is bound to face failure, bound to face resistance. And the only way to get through and get to your goal is persistence. And all successful innovators, including yourself, have demonstrated tremendous amount of persistence. The third P that comes to my mind is pain. And pain is a broad, I'm using that as a broad term for constraint, for challenges, for negativity and all kinds of stuff that problem solving comes with. And I think it's important not just from the point of view of generating persistence, but I think pain also fashions you. And my point is that pain is opportunity. Pain provides you the right impetus, and to handle pain in a positive way, in my opinion, is also a critical positive as far as innovators are concerned. And the fourth P that I have is planning. I think just being somebody who is dreaming, being an innovator is not a license to be a mere dreamer. I think it takes rigor, it takes planning, it takes a meticulous effort to actually bring innovation to life for it to get meaning. And I suspect there are innovators out there who give up, who don't do this last piece, and who don't follow the last P and then blame it on everybody else. But then there are ones like you who dot all the I's and cross all the T's and take it to the end. And the last one, I haven't found a P for it. I was trying to think and scribble. But one piece of advice that comes to mind, I think, is also very important to reach out and collaborate, and form a network, because and increasingly this pandemic has demonstrated the power of collaboration, and all of us must do that, to reach out, and join hands, bring capabilities and ideas and thoughts together. So those are some of the thoughts that come to mind. Happy to take any points that you have,
So one
any
P
piece
I
of
would like
advice.
to add, one
Yeah,
one P, that is purpose.
purpose. Brilliant.
if
Oh,
if
yes.
if there is no purpose to it, I think everything else is useless. So it
Awesome.
purpose could be your personal purpose, could be a societal purpose, could be a purpose of sustainability. The point is, why did I use actually ajrak fabric? I'll tell you. I realized that craftsmen are not making sales. Now they are making mask which uses little amount of fabric.
Mm.
Okay, maybe a lot of pieces, but I mean, we have to also think of those people who are actually part of our society. How we can really integrate them into the entire process of innovation is very important. And therefore there is a complete atmosphere of positivity that is going to come.
I just got the excellent. That's brilliant. That's actually the first P. So we got five P's, and the sixth one that I was not able to. Anupama, who's also part of the Vista for, who's one of the founding members of Vista for Fashion Foundation, and who's been very helpful and helped us put this event together. Just sent me the sixth P, which is partner. So the six P's created live on the first edition of innovation series by the Vista for Fashion Foundation, the six P's of innovation. And we will improvise. There is no limit and there is no full stop ever. But the six P's, as we discovered today in our interaction, and in this showcase with Somesh: purpose, passion, persistence, pain, planning, and partnerships. I think all innovators, if you can take that away, uh, and build that into your journey of innovation. If you can imbibe these six pillars into innovation and follow them, whatever the ingredient, whatever the specific recipe might be relevant to you, you will
Gaurav,
be
one
successful.
last thing I want to add,
Yes,
to
please.
you said journey, you used the word journey.
Yeah,
So to travel a distance of 1,000 miles, you have to take the first step.
very true.
And that is very,
That's
very
very true.
important. So never get disheartened. It's part of
Yeah,
life. We may succeed or fail. That is not
yeah.
important. We must always try.
Excellent, excellent. And I think that's again a good sort of concluding statement. First step of a 1,000-mile journey. This is the first step for actually the Vista for Fashion Foundation's effort in innovation, and I'm sure it will inspire, energize thousands of people out there who are watching and who will watch the videos subsequently. And I hope this virals, like so much of the negativity virals in today's world, may this positivity viral. Vista for Fashion Foundation is working as we speak to put together a framework which enables our mission of incubating, celebrating, and propagating innovation in the fashion industry in India. And we will keep talking to you about it. All of you out there who are who believe that they have the desire and the ability to innovate, reach out to us. At our we have a Facebook page through which we are live with you right now. Write to us on that Facebook page, and we will reach out to you, we'll connect with you, but we'll keep you posted as our own journey at Vista for Fashion Foundation evolves. And we are very confident that together, not only with the 25 odd founding members, but thousands who I'm sure will join us in our journey, we will create a thriving uh, ecosystem and culture for innovation, which will not only be great for our industry, but will be excellent for our nation. With that, thank you very much for joining us. Keep looking out
Gaurav,
for,
last thing, I want to add that
please.
all what we have discussed and shown here is basically it is making sure that Vista is a group, and it
Yeah.
has no accountability to all the kind of ideas which is being presented. It is completely an
Yes.
accountability of an innovator, right?
Absolutely.
So Vista is a
Absolutely. Yeah,
platform.
yeah. So yes, you're absolutely right. Sorry for, my apologies for missing that out. And thank you for telling us that the owners of the delivery and the performance and any claims related products obviously are not something that Vista for Fashion Foundation will be taking. It is entirely the owners of the innovator. So that's a very important point. With that, thank you for pointing that out. And with that, thank you very much. Signing out. All the best, all of you, for your journey towards innovation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.